The heavy wooden doors of the royal chamber closed with a slow echo that seemed to carry the weight of the entire kingdom. Only 4 people remained inside: King Afolabi, Captain Bakery, the royal physician, and the elderly palace nurse whose trembling hands refused to become still. Outside, the palace bustled with activity. Ministers hurried through the corridors, servants whispered prayers beneath their breath, and soldiers stood twice as alert as usual. No one knew that inside the chamber, a secret had just been spoken that could shake 2 kingdoms. King Afolabi slowly walked toward the window overlooking the palace courtyard. For a long moment he said nothing. Finally he turned. "Tell me again." The old physician lowered his head. "When I treated Princess Zara's shoulder after the riding accident, I searched for the royal birthmark. And it was not there." The room became silent. Captain Bakery watched the king carefully. Afolabi's face remained calm, but inside his heart a storm had begun. Could age have hidden it? "No, your majesty." "Could the wound have concealed it?" "No." "You are absolutely certain?" The physician nodded. "I helped deliver the princess 18 years ago. I examined her many times during infancy. The royal birthmark could never disappear." The king looked toward the elderly palace nurse. "You were there." She swallowed. "Yes, your majesty." "Do you remember the mark?" "I do." "Then answer honestly." She fell to her knees. "I remember placing soft cloth around the newborn princess. I remember seeing the mark clearly." Captain Bakery finally spoke. "If Princess Zara does not possess the royal mark..." He stopped before finishing the sentence. No one dared complete it, because they all knew what it meant. King Afolabi closed his eyes. "If she is not my daughter..." The words barely escaped his lips. His voice sounded unfamiliar even to himself. The physician looked up. "Your Majesty, there is another possibility." The king stared at him. "The real princess may still be alive." Miles away, horses thundered across the dusty road leading into Zambia. Captain Bakery rode at the front. Beside him rode Amina. Behind them followed royal guards carrying supplies. The journey had taken several days, yet Amina had complained only once. Not about exhaustion. Not about the heat. Only about stopping to help a wounded child they had found along the road. Captain Bakery smiled quietly. He had heard many stories about the healer of Ekin. Now he understood why people admired her. She never rode past suffering, no matter how urgent her destination. The palace walls finally appeared beyond the horizon. Tall, magnificent, protected by shining towers that reflected the afternoon sun. Amina slowed her horse. "So this is Zambia." Captain Bakery nodded. "Our home." She admired the enormous gates. "I've never seen a palace so beautiful." "You'll soon discover beauty means little if those inside are suffering." She nodded. "Then let's not waste another moment." The guards announced their arrival. "The healer from Ekin has arrived." Within minutes servants rushed through the courtyard. Doors opened. Trumpets sounded. The royal court gathered. Prince Malik stepped down the palace stairs. The confident young prince who had successfully negotiated treaties and represented kingdoms now stood waiting for a village healer. Then he saw her. His footsteps stopped. The young girl beside the riverside. The child who once searched for medicinal herbs was gone. Before him stood a graceful young woman dressed simply in woven cloth, carrying a leather satchel filled with herbs. Her posture remained humble. Her eyes remained kind. But everything else had changed. She had become remarkable. Amina looked up. Their eyes met. For a heartbeat neither spoke. Then Malik smiled. "Amina?" She stared. Recognition slowly appeared. "Prince Malik." He laughed softly. "It has been many years." She smiled. "It has. You've grown into the healer everyone speaks about. And you've become exactly the prince everyone hoped you would become." Captain Bakery interrupted gently. "Forgive me, Your Highness." "The Queen." Malik's expression immediately became serious. "This way." Inside the royal chamber, Queen Amara lay motionless beneath embroidered blankets. Her breathing was shallow. Her skin had lost its healthy glow. King Afolabi stood beside her bed. His face looked as though he had not slept in days. When Amina entered, everyone stepped aside. She bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty." King Afolabi nodded. "They say you have never abandoned anyone who still had hope. I only do what God allows. My queen has grown weaker every day. I will examine her." Without another word, Amina approached the bed. She placed 2 fingers gently against the queen's wrist. Her heart beat. Weak. Irregular. She checked her breathing, her eyes, her tongue, her fingertips. Then she carefully smelled the queen's skin. The royal physicians exchanged puzzled glances. No healer they had ever known examined a patient this way. Amina remained silent for several minutes. Finally, she asked, "What medicines has she received?" The chief physician presented a tray. "We tried everything." She examined every bottle, every powder, every leaf, every mixture. Her expression slowly changed. "What is it?" asked Malik. Amina looked at him. "Who prepared these medicines?" "We did." She held up one small bottle. "This one?" "Yes." She uncorked it, smelled it, then frowned. "This medicine isn't healing her." The physician stiffened. "It should." "It isn't." "How can you know?" She poured a single drop onto a white cloth. The stain slowly darkened. Amina looked toward the window. "Bring me fresh water." Servants hurried away. She added another herb from her satchel. Moments later, the cloth turned deep blue. The room gasped. "What does that mean?" asked the king. Amina answered quietly. "Your queen is not dying from illness." Everyone froze. "What?" "She has been poisoned." The room erupted. "Impossible. Poison? How? Who?" The physicians argued among themselves. Captain Bakery immediately signaled the guards. "No one leaves the palace." King Afolabi raised his hand. Silence returned. He looked directly at Amina. "Are you certain?" "I would never accuse anyone without certainty." She pointed toward the medicine bottle. "Someone has been slowly mixing poison with her treatment." The king's face hardened. "My own palace." Malik clenched his fists. "Find whoever prepared every dose." Captain Bakery bowed. Immediately, the captain disappeared through the doors. The hunt had begun. While the palace descended into controlled chaos, Amina calmly unpacked fresh herbs. She crushed roots, ground leaves, mixed rare flowers with warm water. Every movement was steady, confident, as though she had performed this treatment many times before. Queen Amara suddenly coughed. The room fell silent. Amina gently lifted her head. Slowly. She gave her only a few drops. No more. The physicians looked confused. So little? Too much medicine now could stop her heart. One physician whispered, "Remarkable." Outside the chamber, whispers spread faster than wildfire. The village healer discovered poison. She saved the queen. No. They say she's still trying. Servants gathered in corners. Guards exchanged worried glances. Meanwhile, another pair of eyes watched everything. Princess Zara. She stood behind a carved pillar. "So," she whispered, "this is the famous healer." Her lady-in-waiting nodded. "They say she arrived from Ekin." Zara narrowed her eyes. "My father hasn't left her side. The queen is very ill." "That isn't what concerns me." She continued watching Amina through the half-open doors. Everyone listened when the healer spoke. Even the royal physicians. Even Prince Malik. Especially Prince Malik. Zara noticed every glance, every smile, every word. Her jaw tightened. "I want to know everything about this woman. Everything. Everything." Hours passed. Night covered the palace. Lanterns illuminated the corridors. Amina refused to leave the queen. Malik entered carrying food. "You haven't eaten." "I'm not hungry." "You won't help anyone if you collapse." She smiled. "You still worry about everyone." He laughed. "I learned from someone." She looked at him. "You remembered." "I remembered everything." Amina accepted the bowl. "Thank you." For a few peaceful moments they spoke about Ekin. Hunter Kofi, Grandma Nala, the villages, the forests, the riverside where they had first met as children. Malik listened more than he spoke. He realized something. Although 18 years had changed them both, Amina's kindness had not changed at all. Elsewhere inside the palace, King Afolabi stood alone inside the royal archives. Ancient scrolls covered wooden shelves. Dust floated through candlelight. He looked toward the old keeper of records. "I need every document concerning Princess Zara's birth." The old man hesitated. "Every document. Every one. And the midwives? Bring them. The palace nurses? Bring them. The guards who stood watch that night? Find them. What shall I tell them?" The king answered slowly. "Tell them. Their king wishes to remember." But inside his heart, he feared he was about to uncover something no father ever wished to learn. Back inside the queen's chamber, the medicine finally began working. Queen Amara's breathing steadied. Her fingers twitched. Amina leaned closer. "Your Majesty?" The queen's eyelids trembled. Malik immediately called for his father. King Afolabi hurried inside. Amara, her lips moved weakly. Everyone leaned forward. She struggled to speak. Only one faint whisper escaped. Lena." The room looked at one another. "Lena?" No one understood. No one except one elderly palace nurse. The color drained from her face. Her hands began shaking uncontrollably. Because Lena was not just a name. It was the name of the young nurse who had mysteriously disappeared on the very night the princess had vanished 18 years ago. The forgotten past had finally begun to awaken. The first rays of dawn slipped through the carved windows of the royal chamber. For the first time in many days, hope returned to the palace. Queen Amara slept peacefully. Her breathing had become steady. The fever that had consumed her body was beginning to fade. King Afolabi had not left her bedside throughout the night. When Amina finished preparing another herbal mixture, she smiled gently. "The poison is losing its strength." The king looked at her with gratitude. "You have done what my finest physicians could not." Amina bowed her head. "I only followed the signs the Creator placed before us." The chief royal physician stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I owe Lady Amina an apology." The room turned toward him. "I doubted her methods." He lowered his head respectfully. "But wisdom does not belong only to palaces." Amina smiled warmly. "A healer never seeks praise." "We all wished for the same thing, to save the queen." The physician nodded. "Your humility honors your gift." King Afolabi silently admired the young woman. Power never interested her. Recognition did not tempt her. Everything she did was for someone else. For reasons he could not explain, she reminded him of Queen Amara when they were both young. Across the palace, another heart was far from peaceful. Princess Zara paced inside her chambers. Her ladies remained silent. No one dared interrupt her thoughts. Finally, she stopped. "Where is Prince Malik?" One attendant answered carefully. "He remained with the healer throughout the night, Your Highness." Zara's eyes narrowed. "Throughout the night?" "Only because of the queen's condition." She said nothing. Instead, she walked toward the balcony, overlooking the gardens. She could see Malik speaking with Amina below. They laughed quietly. Not loudly. Not romantically. Simply as two old friends reunited after many years. Yet to Zara, every smile felt like an insult. "Who exactly is she?" "My lady. This healer. She is called Amina." "I know her name." Zara's voice became colder. "I want to know everything." Meanwhile, deep beneath the palace, Captain Bakery entered the ancient archive vault. An elderly record keeper unlocked a heavy wooden chest. Inside lay faded scrolls, worn journals, and sealed letters dating back generations. Bakery carefully unfolded one parchment. The birth of the royal princess. The ink had faded, but remained readable. He continued searching. Hours passed. Dust covered his hands. Then, he discovered another record. The night of the storm. His heart quickened. According to the record, the palace had lost power during a violent storm 18 years earlier. Several guards had abandoned their posts to secure collapsing sections of the palace walls, including the nursery entrance. Bakery frowned. So the nursery was left vulnerable. The record keeper nodded sadly. It was the only time in history. At the same moment, King Afolabi summoned the elderly palace nurse in complete secrecy. Only 3 people stood inside the private audience chamber. The king, Captain Bakery, the nurse. The old woman could barely raise her eyes. You served my family faithfully for many years. Yes, your majesty. I ask only for the truth. You shall have it. He studied her face. When the queen whispered the name Lena, the nurse trembled. Why did you become afraid? Tears immediately filled her eyes. I prayed that day would never come. Bakery exchanged a glance with the king. What do you know? She slowly fell to her knees. I have carried this burden for 18 years. King Afolabi's voice softened. No one will harm you. The old woman began crying. Princess, forgive me. The king stepped closer. Speak. The storm that night was terrible. I remember. The nursery windows shook. Servants ran everywhere. Several guards left their posts. And Lena? She was the youngest nurse. What happened? She begged me to watch the princess while she fetched fresh blankets. Did she return? Yes. But the woman hesitated. She wasn't alone. Bakery leaned forward. Who was with her? I couldn't see. The lanterns had gone out. There was only lightning. King Afolabi felt his pulse race. What happened next? I heard the princess crying, then silence. When the lights returned, her voice broke. The baby was still there. The king frowned. What do you mean? We believed it was the princess. You believed? The child was wrapped tightly. No one examined her closely. Bakery's eyes widened. The baby could have been switched. The nurse closed her eyes. I've feared that possibility every day since. Miles away, Hunter Kofi stood outside his cottage watching the sunrise. Beside him stood Abina. She placed a hand on his shoulder. You're thinking about Amina. I always do. She'll return. I know. He smiled. But the house feels empty without her. Abina laughed softly. It won't stay empty forever. He looked at her. You've brought warmth back into this home. And your daughter gave me the courage to become part of it. They stood together in peaceful silence. Neither realized that Amina's life was changing forever. Back in Zambia, Prince Malik found Amina in the palace garden. She knelt beside several flowering plants. You recognize these? He asked. They're nearly identical to the herbs growing in Ekin. She gently touched one leaf. But these receive better water. Malik smiled. You notice everything. A healer must. He sat beside her. I've wanted to thank you. For what? When we first met by the riverside, you treated me like an ordinary boy. You were. He laughed. I was a prince. You were also lonely. His smile faded. You noticed? You kept looking for someone to talk to. Malik looked toward the fountain. You understood me better than many people inside this palace. Their eyes met. Years had passed, yet speaking together still felt effortless. From an upper balcony, Princess Zara watched them. Every passing minute deepened the bitterness inside her. One attendant whispered, "They seem comfortable together." Zara's expression hardened. Too comfortable. My lady, I want someone sent to Ekin. Immediately. What shall they investigate? Everything. Who her parents are. How she grew up. Who visits her. I want every secret. The attendant bowed nervously. At once. That evening, Captain Bakery rode toward a small village several miles outside the capital. The trail had come from an old palace payroll record. One name appeared repeatedly. Lena. The payments had suddenly stopped 18 years ago. But one witness claimed she had survived. An old blacksmith greeted him. I seek a woman named Lena. The blacksmith frowned. Haven't heard that name in years. Did she live here? For a little while. Where did she go? No one knows. She disappeared after falling ill. Bakery sighed. Another dead end. Just as he prepared to leave, an elderly woman called from across the road. Captain. He turned. You knew Lena? I did. She slowly approached carrying a small wooden box. Before she vanished, she asked me to keep this safe. Bakery carefully accepted the box. Inside lay an old silver pendant. He wiped away the dust. The moment sunlight struck its surface, his eyes widened. Engraved upon it was the royal crest of Zambia. Inside the pendant rested a tiny piece of faded royal silk embroidered with the initials.
PA.
Princess Amara. It was the cloth traditionally wrapped around newborn heirs of the royal family. Bakery's breathing grew heavier. This pendant had disappeared on the very night the infant princess vanished. He looked up at the old woman. Where did Lena get this? The woman shook her head. She never told me. She only said one thing. What did she say? The old woman looked toward the distant palace, rising above the hills. She said, "One day the true princess will return, and when she does, the kingdom must be ready to hear the truth." Captain Bakery closed the pendant tightly in his hand. The search was no longer based on rumors. For the first time in 18 years, he was holding proof that the past had never truly been buried. Morning broke over the kingdom of Zambia, with the sky washed in gold. The palace stirred awake, but beneath its polished halls lay an uneasiness no one could ignore. Queen Amara was improving. The poison had been stopped. Yet another sickness had begun to spread. It was not one of the body. It was doubt. Captain Bakery stood outside the king's private chamber, the small wooden box tucked securely beneath his arm. The guards opened the doors. King Afolabi stood by the window, his hands clasped behind his back. Without turning, he spoke. "You found something." Bakery stepped forward and knelt. "I believe I have, Your Majesty." He placed the box on a nearby table. The king slowly opened it. Inside rested the silver pendant. The moment he saw the royal crest, his breath caught. He picked it up with trembling fingers. "I remember this." His voice had become almost a whisper. "It was placed beside our daughter the night she was born." Bakery nodded. "It disappeared the same night as Princess Amara." The king opened the pendant. The faded silk remained inside. Though time had worn its colors, the embroidered initials were still visible.
PA.
Afolabi closed his eyes. "This cannot be coincidence." "No, Your Majesty." The king looked directly at his captain. "For 18 years I believed fate had tested my family." His expression hardened. "But fate did not steal my daughter." He clenched the pendant tightly. "Someone did." Across the palace, Queen Amara slowly opened her eyes. The room was quiet. Only Amina sat beside her, carefully grinding herbs into a smooth paste. The queen watched her silently. There was something comforting about the young healer. Her gentle movements, her patience, her calm voice. They stirred memories buried deep within her heart. "My child." Amina looked up immediately. "Your Majesty, you haven't rested." "I will rest after you recover." The queen smiled faintly. "You remind me." She stopped. A strange pain crossed her face. Amina leaned closer. "Are you feeling worse?"
No.
The queen closed her eyes again. "I remembered something." "What did you remember?" "A lullaby." Amina smiled softly. "My father used to sing one to me when I was little." Queen Amara slowly shook her head. "No, it wasn't your father." Amina frowned. "What do you mean?" The queen pressed a hand against her forehead. "I don't know. The melody simply came back to me. It feels important." Later that afternoon, Prince Malik invited Amina to walk through the royal botanical gardens. Rows of rare flowers stretched in every direction. Medicinal plants from distant kingdoms filled carefully tended beds. Amina's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I've only read about some of these." Malik smiled. "I hoped you would enjoy them." She knelt beside a flowering shrub. "This root can stop bleeding." She pointed toward another. "These leaves reduce fever." Malik laughed. "You know every plant." "Not every plant." She smiled. "I'm still learning." They continued walking beneath flowering trees. After a while, Malik asked quietly, "Do you ever wonder why life leads people where it does?" Amina looked toward the sky. "Every day. If Hunter Kofi hadn't found me," she paused, "I might never have learned healing." Malik glanced at her. You've never wondered who your real family was? She became silent. When I was younger, I wondered often. And now, my father is Hunter Kofi. He chose me. I don't need blood to know I am loved. Malik admired her answer. Many people searched endlessly for what they lacked. Amina cherished what she already had. High above the gardens, hidden behind carved stone railings, Princess Zara watched. Again, Malik laughed. Amina laughed. The sight filled her with quiet anger. A servant approached carefully. My lady, the messenger has returned from Ekin. Zara turned immediately. What did he discover? The servant handed her a sealed scroll. She broke the wax seal. Her eyes quickly scanned the report. Hunter Kofi, found in the forest. No known parents. Raised as his daughter. Beloved throughout the village. Gifted healer. Respected by King Abi himself. Zara read every line twice. Then one sentence caught her attention. No one knows where the child came from. Hunter Kofi discovered her wrapped in expensive cloth unlike anything woven in Ekin. Zara's fingers tightened around the parchment. Expensive cloth? The servant nodded. That is what several elders said. Did they describe it?
No.
She folded the report slowly. Find out. I want that cloth. Far away in Ekin, Hunter Kofi returned from the forest carrying freshly gathered herbs. Grandma Nala sat beneath the large baobab tree waiting for him. You've been expecting me. She smiled knowingly. I have. He sat beside her. You look troubled. I've been thinking about Amina. So have I. Grandma Nala stared toward the distant forest. The day you found her. I remember every moment. So do I. Hunter Kofi sighed. I have never told Amina everything. You feared someone would come looking for her. I feared someone dangerous. Grandma Nala nodded. Do you still have the cloth? He hesitated. Yes. Hidden. Exactly where I left it. She looked at him carefully. Keep it safe. I believe the day is coming when it will answer many questions. Back in Zambia, Captain Bakery continued following every clue. One old record mentioned a palace guard named Damba. Unlike many others from that night, he was still alive. Now he lived alone in a quiet village beyond the northern hills. Bakery rode until sunset before reaching the small cottage. An elderly man opened the door. His hair had turned completely white, his back bent with age, but his eyes remained sharp. Captain Bakery. I've come to ask about the storm 18 years ago. The old man's smile disappeared. I wondered when someone would finally ask, You remember it? I remember every heartbeat. Bakery entered. The old guard slowly poured water into 2 wooden cups. Neither spoke for several moments. Finally, Bakery asked, Were you guarding the nursery? I was. What happened? The old man stared into the cup. The storm was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Lightning struck the eastern tower. We were ordered to reinforce the walls. So you left. For only a short time. When I returned,
He stopped.
Bakery leaned forward. What did you see? The old guard's hands began shaking. I never reported it. Why? I was young. I was afraid. Tell me now. The old man looked directly into Bakery's eyes. I saw someone. Who? I couldn't see the face. It was hidden beneath a dark cloak. A woman. I believe so. What was she doing? The old man's voice dropped almost to a whisper. She carried a baby. Bakery felt his pulse quicken. Only one. The old guard slowly shook his head. No. There were 2. Silence filled the room. Bakery could hardly believe what he had heard. 2 babies. Yes. I watched her disappear into the nursery. And when she came out, the old guard swallowed hard. She was carrying only one. Bakery rose slowly from his chair. Every piece of the mystery was beginning to fit together. Someone had entered the royal nursery with 2 infants. Someone had left with only one, which meant one baby had remained inside the palace. The other had been taken away into the storm. The truth that had slept for 18 years was no longer hidden in rumor. It was becoming a terrifying reality.